We are going live. Looks like everything is checking out. I'm Fletch. If anybody here doesn't know me yet, I do a lot of the kind of office hours and coaching and training for people who are, kind of getting started with OMG and want to kind of get some live Q&A feedback, that kind of thing. So I'm going to quickly just do a sound check on the broadcast here to make sure everything's running fine. And then once we are, okay, so that all checked out. So now we're good. So I noticed a few people here saying that they were new, and this may be their first time on my office hours. If that's the case, it's pretty straightforward. There is a chat box you can see kind of on the right side of your video. You can type any and all questions there, comments as well. You can chat back and forth between yourselves. If somebody brings something up that you may have a quick answer to, you feel free to do that. Anything related to SEO and or online marketing, money getting, anything like that, free game. So Greg typically handles a lot of the real heavy lifting and technical stuff regarding SEO. Mike's webinars are more acceleration type. They're more presentation style. This is very interactive. It's also just kind of anything that you might have a question with. Yeah, feel free to bring it. So what I'll do now is go ahead and do a screen share so that the video will actually be broadcasting the chat box. And then what I typically do is kind of go through the questions as they come up. Sometimes it takes me a little longer than others to get to all the questions, but if it's in there, if you kind of keep track of it, if I skipped over you, it certainly was not by any kind of, I probably just missed the question, so feel free to type it back in there. But sometimes it does take a few minutes for me to get through questions and get to answering whatever you may have posted. So yeah, just be cool, and we'll get going. So let's go ahead and do the screen share real quick, and then I'll jump into the chat box and go through the questions. What I typically do is to highlight the questions as I'm reading them, so that people can see what I'm actually working on. I also repeat those back. So I know there were a couple people that were on mobile devices or iPads or something like that. I know that the formatting on those different browser types can be a little wonky with actually seeing the video and the chat box at the same time. So because of that, you should be pretty good. So let me go back here and see where we started. Got a couple people on that I definitely recognize from my sessions before. I saw Gregory Ortiz is on. That's awesome. Shane, yeah, I did post that I got your email. I just haven't had a chance to look at it yet. Hopefully this evening. I got a lot of my docket still for the day, but I'll try to get back to you tonight, let you know what's going on. As far as topics go, anything and everything, Rob. It can be from you guys having questions in the training or in the application of the training. A lot of times, though, just kind of coming and listening to some of the other questions gets kind of, the mind in the right place for asking stuff that may come to your mind as well. Okay. Mary, hi, Gregory, new to OMG, but have heard your name. Oh, very cool. Cool. Okay, Sam, hi, all. Total newbie here. First attendance, cool. All right, welcome, Sam. Joe, Gregory, how's the house coming along? Haha, yeah. Asher's on, cool. Mayo, Welton. All right, looks like we've got something here from Shane. Whoops. Sometimes this chat box hops around on me a little bit. Gotta kind of work with it. All right, Shane, about 10 C-class IPs and hosting through SEO hosting. Learned that in the background training from Greg. Learned today that SEO host site owners lost sites hosted by SEO hosting. Okay. I'm thinking of canceling them and taking the loss. Is there no way to not waste the money and use them? Yeah, I still use SEO hosting. Shane, I'm not sure where you heard that some site owners lost their sites. I haven't had any trouble with my sites that are on SEO hosting. So, yeah, depending on where you got that information, I would I may have more information to give you, but I still use them and don't have any problems. Okay, Mary. Oh, my screen says an error occurred. Please try again later. Yeah, just hit well, well, refresh page, Mary. Should be right again. Yeah, sometimes with the embed of this Google Hangout, that's essentially just a YouTube video, some things kind of get off track every once in a while. It says an error occurred. You can just refresh your page, should reload that video code and get things back to normal. It happens to me about 50% of the time. So especially when I'm starting my my sessions up. All right, Gregor Ortiz, same here. Mary Jo and I signed paperwork yesterday. Put the sold on the house. Looking forward to Fletch's teachings. Awesome, cool. That's cool, Gregory. I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. All right, Robert. Hey, y'all, first time here. OMG is seriously a Willy Wonka creation of never-ending goodness. I like that. I'll have to pass that one along to Mike and David and Greg, I think, Robert. That's cool. Shane, what WordPress theme are you using for most of your money sites? Almost all my money sites, Shane, have Genesis and Dynamic on them. So Genesis is the parent theme. Dynamic is a child theme that further extends the customization of the Genesis theme. And then even beyond that, you can put something called a skin on, kind of below the Dynamic installation. The skin is essentially just a preset group of variables that will make a site look and feel a certain way. So, all right, Fletch, what call tracking provider do you prefer above them all? Heard Callfire and Ringio thrown around a lot. Callfire is what I typically use, Gregory. I've got it on about 80% of my sites right now. There's another one that is something I'm kind of looking into that Joe Marfolio told me about, but I don't have a lot of experience with it yet, and no real kind of, thumbs up or thumbs down so far. But I am testing it out right now. For what I do, Callfire is super simple to set up, and it keeps track of most things I need it to. So I just go with that. ACT, analytic call tracking, is something that extends the functionality of kind of managing and tracking calls and doing some different things. But it's just more complicated to set up. And a lot of times I like to just kind of not have to worry about a lot of that kind of upfront installation stuff. All right, Robert, Fletch, should I be on here if I literally just started OMG, or is there a better use of my time at this stage? Really hard to say, Robert. If you'll be able to pick some things up here for sure, but a lot of the terminology and things may be foreign to you. And it may be, it's certainly not telling you, yeah, get off of here and go do something else. But that if you've gone through the orientation section first, you'll be able to get some value out of these coaching sessions and office hours. If you have not had a chance to go through that and really kind of wrap your brain around a lot of our concepts, you might want to spend this 90 minutes on that. That would be definitely a great use of your time. These are also all recorded. So if people cannot attend live, usually within 24 hours or so, I get the recording over to David, who posts both Greg and I's and Michael's recordings in our respective areas for the kind of coaching and training. So, all right, Welton. I have a client who already has a website up. She gave me access to her Namecheap and hosting account. Would you set up private name servers for this client on both Namecheap and the host? Would you do a dedicated IP on their hosting, although it's a little pricey at $30 a month? Probably don't need to worry about the dedicated IP. Since this is a client site, you probably don't even need to worry about private name servers so much. The reason we use them is because more often than not, if you don't, you're going to get some default stuff. And since we run so many websites that we're actually linking together, we don't want to have the same name servers from a place where one of our links originates and where it points to. Since that's a client site, the default name server may be fine to keep. It usually doesn't take much to get some new ones set up anyway, though. But you probably don't need to worry about dedicated hosting. That'll just start eating into everybody's margins and stuff. So that's what I would do. All right, Low. Hey, Fletch, one of the videos you made a calculation of the cost of what you would charge a customer based on about 10 keywords. Can you explain the formula you use to get the answer for each section of the chart you made in the video? Yeah, I can. I'm going to have to dig that spreadsheet up. Conceptually, I can kind of walk you through it because I remember it because it's what I still do. Essentially, what you're going to do is to figure out or estimate the number of people that you're going to get on a website based on ranking #1 for a keyword. So what that typically is about 50%, give or take, of the number of searches you're going to have at least a shot at if you're in the #1 position. And then based on kind of your conversion rate and all that kind of thing, each of those factors is going to take that number down. And then you're going to look at the value of each customer and make a calculation that way. What I'm going to do, though, real quick is open up a, this is Facebook. Yeah, here in Facebook, this is the, well, let me go to the, so in the main OMG Facebook group, there is a tab here at the top. You can click on it. It says Files. You may have already done this. I'm just, if you haven't, I'm showing everybody where I'm going. One of our people last year, yeah, Tony here, made this spreadsheet. So I'm going to go ahead and just open it up so I can kind of walk through it real quick. Well, let me just go ahead and download it. Where'd it go? Okay. So let me see if I can do a screen share again here. Change my window to this. Okay. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, it should be working now. So what you essentially can do with this worksheet, that first column, monthly searches, that's going to be just the volume of search traffic that each of those keywords get. So if your keyword comes back showing that it gets 1,000 searches, you can just pop 1,000 in here. Okay. Then this is going to auto calculate. This is set to 40%. 40% of those 1,000 people are going to wind up on your site. If the cost per click for that keyword, just say it's $15. Okay. What you're going to get is an auto calculation of the volume of traffic and what that is worth on a monthly basis. So ranking #1 for that keyword would be worth about $6,000 in AdWord costs. The next column here, website to calls, is going to be 5%. This is set at 5% of your traffic volume. So 1 out of every 20 people are going to actually call you. So you get 400 people on your site. It's going to turn into 20 phone calls for you. If that business is able to set half of those calls to appointments, that's what the second number is, which means that if the client has a customer value, say they're just like an insulation company, and the value of a customer is $2,000. This keyword, ranking #1 for this keyword, would be about $6,600. It would be worth $6,600 to them on a monthly basis. So that's kind of how that works. This is based. This last column is going to be based on the conversion rate for how many sales they actually make. So with $2,000, that turns into what's that? About 3.5, less than 3.5 new customers for them every month on this search traffic. So you can change in any or all of those variables. because each industry does have kind of some differences in them. So that's kind of what that's based on and how that works. A lot of times I will pull something like that out as a way to kind of start talking to a customer about, you know, really what the value of what we do is and how we kind of arrive at that. So, okay. Let's head back over here. Okay, so that was Lowe's question there. All right, Rob, if I wanted to jump in feet first with day job killing, what would be the best and easiest thing to outsource besides content? Site setup can be outsourced pretty quickly as well, Rob. Getting everything set properly in WordPress when you have it installed, that can take a little bit of time. You can get pretty good at it. I think it probably takes me less than 15 minutes to get a site set up. But if you're trying to set up, you know, 50 different sites, that can eat some time for sure. So I tend not to outsource much at all anyway. So I'm not the best person to ask about outsourcing. All right, Lo, after telling a client how much you will charge monthly, do you tell them it will take 2 to 3 months to rank those keywords? If so, does the client usually take that info, and how do you justify it? And do you always use contracts? Most of what I do now, Lo, is sell leads. So those leads are just someone pays for them and I send them that way. So they don't really care so much about where they come from. So as I mentioned, what I do is I build the site and I work on the SEO, and I get usually just kind of enough traffic going to that site to keep their phone ringing, even at a slower volume than it will eventually get to. So that's kind of how I take care of that. So I really don't even talk about how long it's going to take to rank, because I don't really sell SEO that often. Yeah, I typically don't focus on those kinds of things. I have an answer to them, and I certainly don't mislead anyone, but I really don't focus on those concepts that much. Okay, Mary refreshed and is good. All right, Shane, did you get hit by the last Google update on your SEO hosting sites? No, I didn't have any negative ranking effects at all, Shane. On for ranking for Penguin 3, I think is what we're calling it. Welton J, do your PBNs have Genesis Dynamic that you point to your money sites that have Genesis Dynamic too? Would that create a trackable pattern? You know, it could, Welton, but it's something that's so far down on the list of things that Google would want to pay attention to for web spam that it's not a problem. Most of my PBN sites do not have Genesis Dynamic, but some of them do. Most of them just have a free theme that looks pretty good that I can, you know, do the right things with as far as making sure that the full post will display on the homepage and things like that. Most of my money sites have the Genesis Dynamic. Most of my PBNs have just some other theme on them. All right, Gregory started watching a new course in the members area, completely epic, and going to start that route as well. Cool, man. Thanks for being so generous and showing us all the details. Everyone else should check it out too. Thank you very much, Gregory. I've had a lot of people thank me for that, so I'm super happy that it's been well received. It certainly changed my life, and yeah, just wanted to kind of share it and help some other people out if they're inclined to do that kind of thing. So thank you. All right, Neil, hey Fletch, where could I find the training on local citations within Owen? I think if we have it, Neil, and I don't know 100% that we do. We don't focus on that kind of thing that much. We don't worry about the maps listings a whole lot. But if we do have it, it's going to be in this domination section probably. Yeah, nothing's jumping out at me. I don't recall seeing it. You know, I know what you're talking about, and it works, but we typically don't focus on ranking well in the 7-pack because some of the factors that are going to influence that aside from the citations, they're just filling out a full profile. And then Jimmy dropped a friggin' epic bomb on us last webinar with the domain authority of the attached site being a very influential factor. So, you know, Jimmy's really, he knows a lot of things about a lot of things SEO wise. And I'm not sure what he has kind of packaged up that may be coming out next year on that stuff. But I don't know that we have any training specific to citations, Neil. All right, Cliff, completely agree with Greg about the awesomeness of the new course. When are you beginning stages? When you are in the beginning stages of providing pay-per lead for a potential client, how many weeks will you typically send them free leads? Usually not by the week. I typically try to get them 5 good leads. I figure that even in industries that don't have a high closing rate, that's going to get them at least 1 or 2 customers for free. So that's kind of the reason I settled on about 5 good leads. It would let them actually get some money in their pocket from what I sent them for free. So that's kind of why I went that direction. Sometimes that might take 2 days. Other times it might take 2 weeks. It just kind of depends. All right, Asher, just kind of listening tonight, Fletch. This is first session with you. Very cool. Excited about, excited to get after some of the local business strategies. My very first coaching session was last night with Greg. Oh, cool, Asher. Yeah, I'm glad you're on, man. No problem. I assume man, I say man to girls too. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, glad you're here tonight, and certainly not a problem if you want to just kind of hang out, watch, listen, whatever works for you, bud. All right, Derek Fletch, complete newbie, first classroom. Do you suggest starting with over the shoulder or less in month 1? And also, what is a silo? Okay, cool. Good questions. For everybody, and this is like even people who may be doing this for a long time, the first thing I would go through is the orientation section. So in the main, like right when you log in, you've got our news feed right here on the left. At the upper right corner, a lot of people skip this, okay? That's a mistake. This orientation page is a key to like everything OMG. That includes law of implication stuff. So this is put together by David. He put a lot of thought and work into getting this right. And it not only talks about the ways to get signed up for the webinars and to get included in the different OMG Facebook groups that we have specific to different topics, but there are also some videos and concepts that will really help you accelerate the learning that you're going to be doing when you get into the technical SEO training. So, you know, these videos right here, this is just kind of a, I can't remember which video is which. I actually watched these again last week just to kind of remember what's going on with them, but they will familiarize yourself. They will gear with the concepts and also kind of the way we structure the concepts within an OMG. So I would definitely start there. And then beyond that, it's kind of set up more or less sequentially. You know, the introduction here is going to talk about some of the updates that we've had. And what that does, the reason we include even updates that happened before, is it lets you kind of start to get a sense and a feel for what Google does and how they change and how they evolve. Because those are things that just help you kind of frame out and create references for what the important concepts within OMG are for ranking. And then beyond that, really these first 5 lessons here are the core training. Everything after that, and when I say 5, I mean introduction, preface, demonstration, month 1, month 2, and month 3. That's really the core of our ranking. Everything after that is kind of strategy, how to package it, how to put it together, different ways to apply it. Of course, you know, monetization is what monetization is. Web design is something that's definitely very valuable and useful. And Amazon is a specific module on Amazon businesses, ranking them, ranking products, getting products created and drop shipped and all that kind of thing. This is our coaching pages. All the replays are available there. A lot of background training on just random concepts, graphics, all sorts of things. Great stuff on conversion here that Mike did last year, video conversion as well. I think that's Jason Calori, if I'm not mistaken. And then just interviews with people, kind of, you know, talking to them about concepts that they found to be important or valuable when they were putting their businesses together. So. Okay, Shane, that $2,000 was a customer average, correct? Yeah, that would be the average value of a new customer, Shane, on that demo that I ran through. All right, Welton, where'd you get the spreadsheet to predict income? I made it, Welton. It was something that was very, very rough. Tony redid it and stuck it in the files section of the Facebook group. So conceptually, I put that together, but the polished version that's actually easy to use is something that that Tony polished up and stuck in there for everybody to use. So, all right, Lo, did you set your first sites up and then get them ranked before approaching a client with leads? No, when I first started, I didn't have the luxury of time. I needed money immediately, and so what I did was reach out to subcontractors that I had worked with, and essentially just sold leads knowing that I would produce them. I did not have a website built. I did not have anything ranked for sure. And because they were leads, they were in certain industries. I'm sure it's different in different industries, but construction is one where leads are very much a part of most local businesses. Construction companies are typically somebody that does construction work and didn't want to work for someone else. And so they started their own business, and they're essentially a tradesperson most of the time. And so there are a lot of pieces of their business that they would just be very fine outsourcing, and marketing is one of those. So in the construction industry specifically, a lot of people just buy leads. And so that's kind of why I went with that strategy. If I would have come from a different industry where things were done differently, I may have designed my business completely differently. But you know, I'm kind of just giving some inside baseball on construction, how construction works. And I paired up selling leads to construction because of that. Subsequently, you know, now most of the time what I do is set a site up, get it ranked, get it generating calls, and then just send those calls to a business person. So I don't have to do any cold calling if I want to set up, sell a new client, because they've already gotten some leads from me. They know me. They know what they're worth. They know they're going to be able to make some money with them. All right. All right, ZR. Now, I think you mentioned that you set up social profiles for your PBN sites, correct? If so, how do you go about doing that? Meaning, do you follow the steps in social domination? Yeah. What I try to do is to just make my PBN sites look as real and natural as possible. You know, if I were, well, I had a local business website, and, you know, even before I knew to do any SEO to it, I had a Facebook page for it. I didn't really have a Twitter feed. My LinkedIn profile talked about it. And, you know, what I do is just kind of go about building those things out. And with, you know, what you can do on Fiverr now, you can get, you know, 10 of those things set up for like $5. And then they'll just send you the login information. You can go put a couple pictures and some content on there. So that it's a really good idea to just kind of flesh out the footprint, the good footprint of your PBN sites. Don't have to, certainly not required, but I do, just to kind of, as much as anything, kind of protect my investment in those PBNs. It also helps grow the power. You know, I'm not going to talk about that because it'll just kind of get, it'll kind of confuse the message, but it does a lot of good things. I'll put it that way. Gregory Ortiz, the only type of citation training I remember was taught by Joe in his section for Day Job Killer. Yeah, he may have done that. I know he does it. I didn't know that he included that in his videos. Let me, I think that was in Monetization or Day Job Killer 1. Yeah, so yeah, he may talk about some citations and stuff in this. I watched a few of these. I love Joe. I talked to him a lot. So that may be where Greg was talking about some of that citation stuff. Okay, Lorraine, a bit of clarity on affiliation rather than just words. Can you draw me a picture, a visualization style I need to see rather than just hear? If my money site is a magazine and the PBNs are my pages, when it comes to affiliation, can I have any old ad on each page? Hope this makes sense. I think I understand what you're talking about, Lorraine. Whoever will take me, basically. Okay, I'm not sure what that comment means, but having it as an analogy of a magazine may not be the most helpful. I think that's kind of fuzzy at best. The PBN are actually sites. Let me kind of come back to that in a second. I'll open up a drawing program I think that I have and see if I can do something real quick and easy for you to see. I think I have a drawing program on here. Whoa. Okay. Well, I got a drawing program. Just ate up my entire screen, but I'll come back to that and kind of draw you a picture. Let me get you caught up on these questions real quick, Lorraine, and then we'll come back to that. And then some more from Lorraine. Sorry, Fletch, one more in case you don't cover it. Possibly to have like a centerfold on one of my PBNs just for the purpose of affiliation. And I'm not, tell me what you mean by that word affiliation, Lorraine. And then once I understand what you mean by affiliation there, I will, I'll be able to draw you something and maybe help you understand it a little better. All right, Shane, Fletch, starting out with pay-per-lead system as you mainly do now, strategically thinking about a domain for my city, another domain for nearest main city, and also still plan to buy similar my city site for a country just across the U.S. border. Okay. If I build out each one, say 5 to 10 different services featured, is that a good way to start? Can you give your thoughts on this? Yeah, it'd be a fine way to start. A lot of this is not like there's not really a right or a wrong way as in generic terms. Depending on specifically what you do, there are probably ways that work better and some that don't work as well. But kind of when you're getting going, you don't even really know what those differences are going to be. You know, part of it's going to be on the style of the site. Second, another thing I talk about, some of the free videos that I have on my YouTube channel, is just really understanding what value are you? You know, what value are you going to contribute to the transaction? You know, the customer is going to pay and the vendor is going to sell something. What are you doing as an online marketer? You know, part of it's getting traffic, but I always try to add value as well. And so that's going to also come into play there too. So, you know, there's some other things to think about for sure. But when you're getting going, I would just kind of go with it. See if, you know, see if it works for you the way you're putting it together. Okay, Asher, thanks, Fletch. I had to go. See you next week. Oh, awesome. Glad you were on. All right, Pete, has a recent Google update made the Fiverr gigs no longer useful? If you're talking about the link building stuff, Pete, I have not heard confirmation on that yet. I haven't used those Fiverr gigs for a while. I have my own GSA campaigns that I use. I've been very diligent about keeping my lists clean and updating them pretty frequently. So they still seem to be working fine. None of the things that I have sent links to have been affected negatively. But I'm not sure about those Fiverr gigs. All right, Shane, just met a guy who had an amazing steel welder fabricator artist. Very cool. Just retired from Union Welding Shop. One day took his eagle sculpture down to an affluent beach area and to take pictures of his art. Lady saw one piece. She gave $12,000 for it on the spot. That's awesome, Shane. I told him what I do, and he asked me to market his stuff. Is something like that worth my time if I ask dollars up front and percent of sale? Yeah, those kind of niches are awesome. It's probably right to say market. It's not necessarily going to be strictly SEO. You're probably going to want to figure out a really great way to present the stuff, which probably means he needs to get a photographer to take pictures of his things. And then it'll be a matter of getting that type of content in front of the right people. Part of it's going to be SEO, but a lot of it's going to be just kind of in places that get high traffic. So social media springs to mind for sure. Zero now. Thanks, by the way. I'm Zenith. Oh, okay. I can't figure out how to get rid of ZR now. Interesting. Okay. Do you continue to add content to the social profiles connected to your PBNs? Not really much. Once I get them set up, they are pretty static. I don't do a lot with them over time. I may, make a round every 4-6 months or something like that, and just do something to them so they don't get, so static that they may, be dropped or something like that. But beyond that, they just kind of stay the way they are when I create them. Okay, Lo, I've never been on a Sunday Fun Day, and I don't really do Facebook. So can you walk me through how you got to the page with Fl1Tch on Facebook? You showed me earlier. Yeah, it's not a problem. So just this is just the OMG area main page on Facebook. At the top here, where it says OMG NHB team, and then members, events, photos, and then files. So it's that fifth option. If you click files there and then scroll down, there's a document down here that says Fl1Tch, which is right here. When you click on this, it actually takes you to the post where it was updated, and this is something like I mentioned that Tony put together based on something I had done last year, and then you can just click download there. So that's how you can get back to that. Hopefully that you were able to follow that, Lo. If not, let me know and I'll go through it again. No problem. All right, Rob, Lorraine, for the picture, think of it as triangle bowling pins with a head pin on top. The head pin is the money site. Next row is PBNs and link back to the money site. Yeah, okay. Seriously, have been working with the idea of a magazine in my head. Affiliation being, oops. Here, let me highlight this. Okay, affiliation being me advertising on my page for a company who pays me for that, just like a glossy magazine. I'm dying here because clearly that's all wrong. Not necessarily all wrong. I was just trying to get a little more clarity on the question, Lorraine. Even though I know it's phone calls, etc., that I'm passing, I figured the concept was the same. Working with the idea of a magazine, so that's where the problem is. I'm seeing it all wrong. Okay, so here I'm going to, whoops, I need to do a different screen share. Okay, so this is a program that I've not really used much. I have it on my computer, so let me see how easy it is to work with. Just going to do a different screen share here. This is actually probably good. I should have practiced it before we got here, but let me see if I can figure out what I'm doing. I don't have any idea what these are. Let me get this pencil. I know what a pencil is. And let me get color. So if we've got our money site, okay, we're going to call this the money site. Okay, then we've got a PBN down here. I can't write it all with this PBN. And this is its own site as well. And then we're going to have, another PBN over here. Now these are each sites, okay? So this particular PBN, we're going to say like these little boxes here are just pages on this site. Ah, yeah, that's awesome. So we've got page 1, we got page 2, we got page 3. So this PBN may link to a single page here. This page, you can think of this single money site here, Lorraine, up top. I don't know if you can see my cursor, it's kind of small. That very first page on there, you can think of as a page in a magazine. And yes, you could advertise a business that way. But when you first started talking, you were talking about PBNs. PBNs, we will have other pages on them, but they're not even that critical. Like I put them on there to make the site look natural. Most of what we do with PBNs are from posts. This is crazy. Looks like a Jesus fish there. Okay. So we link from a post to a page on a money site. And then we'll link from a post to, you know, a different page on our money site. Or we'll link from, you know, a third PBN to the home page on a money site. And so the use of a PBN is for the link power. The money site, you can probably look at in certain ways. The analogy of a magazine's fine, but for a PBN, it's not. And when you start to incorporate links, then the analogy of a magazine kind of goes away, because there isn't anything I can think of in kind of the magazine world that would be likened to links, because it's just a totally different concept. So hopefully that made a little bit of sense. Beyond my drawing being just ready for an art gallery. Let's get that out of here. Maybe I'll practice with that, get a fancy little pad so I can do some fun stuff for you guys. Because sometimes it is, I agree with you, Lorraine, it's easy to, or sometimes easier to show something graphically or visually. So, all right, Shane, do you have a general amount of money sites you promote, connect to your promote or connect to per PBN? What's your general rule regarding dollar sites per PBN? You know, honestly, 5 to 10 most of the time. You know, Greg is tested, and you can do more than that, but 5 to 10 range is usually about kind of what I shoot for there, Shane. Pete, I've recently come across so website theme that looks really good, but I'm concerned that others will be using similar sites. Would Google slap a site that looks similar in setup, but content on the site is unique? No, you'll be totally fine, Pete. Not something you need to worry about. I've got 50 sites that all pretty much look identical, the same theme, color combinations even the same way. So yeah, don't need to worry about that. You're fine. All right, Rob, do you feel pay per lead is more profitable than renting out a ranked page, or is it that you are simply more familiar and comfortable with this method because that's how you started? The second option there, Rob. I think that there would be a ton of money to make on just the rank and rent, you know, rent this page or rent this entire site. There are a lot of ways to go about making money with SEO. The pay per lead one is one that makes up the majority of what I make, but there are other people who are making $100,000 a month and don't use it at all. So, you know, just, you know, take it for what it's worth. If you're looking for a new way, give it a shot. If something's more comfortable to you or familiar to you, or just seems like it's a better fit, yeah, don't think that this is the only way to go about doing it. Profit wise, I'm probably, for SEO, I think I'm probably middle of the road for profit. I'm in excess of 80% usually profit on my projects. I know you can do better than that even, but it's certainly enough to make my projects worthwhile. All right. Lorraine says yes. Greg, I see it. Okay, cool. All right, Shane, hey Fletch, can I market your artwork? If you can sell that, I will give you 100% of the commission. Shane, how's that sound? Okay. Yeah, I kind of like that program though. I could, not that I like art. I like doing art, but I'm certainly not adept at it. I could play around with that though. That looks kind of snazzy, pretty slick. Okay, so now we're going on to, where are we here? About 45 minutes in. My sessions typically run around an hour and a half, 90 minutes or so. Sometimes they wrap up earlier, just kind of depending on who we have on, you know, energy, how many questions people have. Sometimes we go a little over. One of the things that we want to make very clear, though, is we answer all questions. So if we are just really rocking and rolling and we blow through the 90 minutes, I'm not going to, like, you know, stop hard and fast right at 90 minutes, but I know that after 90 minutes, things just kind of degrade. You know, my voice gets weaker, people's attention's kind of, you know, slacks off a little bit too. So if we do get into those situations, we just schedule an extra coaching session for that week or for however long we have a higher volume than we can take care of in the sessions that we have scheduled currently. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there for folks, especially for those that are on one of their first coaching sessions today. So, okay, Lorraine, I copied that exact picture in my pad and can see the beginning of how this should look. With PBNs, although standalone, I visualized them being within the magazine. I would love to see the links incorporated. Okay, cool. Lorraine, thanks, Rob. Okay, cool. Shane, I'm not sure I understood your answer. Do you mean for each PBN you'd link to around 10 money sites? Yes. Just want to make sure I understand you. Yeah. So on each of those PBNs, I typically will only link to one money site per post. Okay. So if I'm going to link to 10 different money sites from a single PBN site, I will need to have 10 posts on that homepage that are pointing to the 10 separate money sites, Shane. So yeah, that's how that works, or how it can work. You can just have a single, you know, post there and link to one money site from that if you'd like to. So, all right, Coco, cannot grasp how we rent a ranked page. Can you either explain that or tell me which video, please? Are you talking about the actual, well, here's something I can show you real quick. If we had a, well, this is just an example site that I made, okay? So this phone number, it rings a local chiropractor here in Phoenix that performs this spinal decompression. But if I had an inner page here about like herniated disc surgery, if this page was about herniated disc surgery, I could put a separate phone number on just this page and talk more about the exact clinic and the procedure and things like that. And so if this page were ranked #1 for herniated disc surgery Phoenix, people who are looking for herniated disc surgery would find this page because it's ranked in Google, would come to this page, and then the contact information on this page would point them to whoever we ranked that, or to whoever we rented that site to, Coco. So on a site where you want to rank and rent separate pages to separate entities, each of your pages will have different contact information. So you can put a different phone number on each page. It's not a problem. It all kind of works the same way. You can have it trigger, you know, email correspondence to a different email address, or anything like that. So if you want to kind of go over kind of conceptually what that might look like, I'm not talking about the sales side of it, but just how the website would be set up. then this demonstration over the shoulder series here is for a Franklin, Tennessee guide site that Greg just built. This is something that didn't exist a couple months ago. Greg just started building this thing out. And so this is how he put the entire site together. Talks about the article writing for it, the graphics, everything. So this would be the section that would cover putting that site together. So hopefully that makes sense. Oops. Okay. All right, Zenith. When someone has an established site, that it's better to set up a page to rank for them rather than trying to mess with their site. Sometimes. If you're just getting started, most likely it's going to be easier for you to just start fresh. You can certainly work with existing sites. I've not had a ton of success with that, just because I'm not an overly technical person. I don't, that's not where I thrive, you know, going through and checking title tags and H1 tags on an entire site and redesigning URLs and all that kind of thing. You can certainly do it. It works fine to do it, but it's just not my style. So in a situation like that, you can go either direction, whatever you're most comfortable with. All right, Cliff, when creating silos, how important is keeping the, oh, we had a question about silos earlier. I'm glad you brought this back up. How important is keeping the content unique from page to page within a money site, especially with long tail retargeting or long tail targeting? It's tough to think of new ways to say the same thing, especially when creating 5 to 10 new pages for just long tail versions. It's not super important, Cliff. One of the reasons, unique content is not very high up on the list. You want to have good content, but unique content is not super important. This site, Mile High Plumbing, it's set up with that vSilo plugin, and essentially every every page. Whoops, why is that? That's weird. Yeah, essentially every page on this is just a YouTube video, and it's content directly from YouTube. This is descriptions. Some of them have, some of the pages have comments and things on them. So this content exists on my page, but also on YouTube. So it's exact same content, and this site ranks pretty darn well for a lot of things, and I haven't really done that much with it. So. Oops. I lose my. There we go. Okay, cool. Content spinning is not recommended these days. Yeah, definitely not on your money sites, Cliff. I don't use content spinning on my PBNs either. The only time I use spinning is for link building tools. So I will use spun content to create unique content for like GSA. But that's about the extent of my spinning at the moment. All right, Lo, asked Greg last night the same question I asked you today, but he told me to ask you, and you said you don't sell SEO. Question too long continued. Okay, so the question was, after telling the client how much you will charge monthly, do you tell them it will take 2 to 3 months to rank for those keywords? And how does the client normally take that info? So the reason I may have answered this in a way that you felt was incomplete are just some terms here, like normally. Normally isn't something I can really answer. It depends on how you frame that up, Lo. So if I came into a client who had found me ranked #1 for SEO in Phoenix and wanted me to do SEO for them, it would be a situation where in order to get what you want, this is what it takes. This is what money it takes, and this is the time you're probably looking at. So it's kind of, you can't shortcut some of that stuff. And you can't shortcut it in SEO, but you also can't really shortcut what that experience is going to be. It's going to depend on your style, on your sales style, on what you've done and provided them up front, what to expect. Those are all things with my SEO clients that I do have. The sale is done long before I sit down and shake hands and make sure that we don't have anything we still need to work out. They know what my prices are going to be. They know what it's going to take. And they know that I'm probably the only person that's going to be able to work with them in the way that they need it done. I don't try to compare myself to anyone else. Certainly nobody else in the, in the SEO market. So it's not, there's like large sales organizations that are like, hey, do this, this, and this, and you'll get to that answer 20% of the time. And that's kind of where the thinking of what normally happens comes from. It's the way it's usually portrayed in media or in sales books or in things like that. One of the things that really comes from the law of implication stuff that David puts out there is that we really shouldn't confuse what is and what should be. So what I try to do is to create situations where I should get a yes and a check in every sales meeting that I have. And so that also happens normally, but the normal is kind of an extension of that. Instead of I'm expecting to only get 20% of the people to actually agree to my terms. The time frame that it takes is something that I think is a great piece of education. I'm not gonna waste my personal time to drive down to some client's, boardroom and give them a sales presentation when there are pieces of information that may come out of that would shoot a hole in the whole deal. I'm going to get them every piece of that information up front that I can, so that my time can be spent on things that are going to be very productive for me, which would be answering questions. Really, that's the only thing I really go to a sales meeting for. Answering questions, putting a face with a name, and that kind of thing. So it's just kind of set up. I've kind of tried to set myself up to win in that way as much as possible. So, and Mike is likely, I certainly don't speak for Mike at all, but he's going to tell you something along those lines. This is just, it's kind of the way it is with SEO right now. It doesn't mean that every term is going to take 2 to 3 months. It just means that, a likelihood of an SEO project takes a while to put together, and it takes a while to get rankings for it. So, but to say that even what my experience is going to be even anything similar to what yours would be, it would be misleading you. So, hopefully that makes more sense to you. All right, Noel, for Lorraine, Greg's over-the-shoulder videos show in detail how to link between money site and PBNs. Yeah, absolutely, Noel. If that was the piece that was kind of breaking down, Greg covers that a lot better than I could in these office hours. So, Pete, what's your feelings on using spun PLR for some content on PBN sites? I don't put spun content on anything I own, Pete. So it's you're free to give it a try, but I don't know anybody that manages PBN successfully that puts spun content there. Spun content's probably best left to large third-party platforms, not on anything you own. Coco, got it. Okay, cool. Do clients have their own website, or they use it in addition to their own website? Could be both. Yeah, absolutely. For a local windshield repair person, they might not even want a website or need one. Renting a site from your, My City Guide might be all they need. But they also might have a website that they want you to do some work on, or maybe not even do some work on it, just as a supplement. So that's kind of the way I approach the whole pay-per-lead thing. It doesn't need to be your entire business, but it's a nice supplement. Certainly a way to go about monetizing your SEO. Okay. All right, Shane. Okay, so basic background question. I've not been able to find anything on WordPress setup settings. Background training took me up to downloading WordPress, but then I haven't been able to find which settings are the best. Any tips on that? Yeah, that's right here, Shane. Pretty sure this is it. No. So it could be on this. I don't think it is. No, it's not on that. Okay, not on that. I didn't think it was here. I was just looking at it the other day. WordPress settings right here. So this is the SEO supremacy section, Shane. And then down here, it's above the fold. Well, maybe a little below. I linked in my window. Where was it? WordPress settings. This is going to talk about everything, how to set them up, what to do with your permalinks, what to do with getting your posts and pages to display properly, all that kind of thing. So that's where you'd find that stuff. Okay, Priscilla, I read in the Facebook group where one takes a deposit and then the monthly fees don't start until the site is ranked. Yep, that's another strategy that I've seen people use for sure. Okay, Tess. I have a money site that is going to be dedicated to different trades and services. So plumbers, builders, etc. Can I use one PBN to make different posts based on those different niches, or will I need to build out an individual PBN per trades? Oh, yeah. So I think what you're getting at is whether or not, like the building trades as a general industry could have a PBN, or if you need to make one specific for only plumbers or specific for only framing contractors or roofers. I actually have PBNs that don't have any theme at all. They're just all over the board. They work very well. Doesn't mean they work as well as one that is set up specifically to a theme. So in answer to your question, you do not need to have a separate PBN for each of those trades. Doesn't mean you can't, but just that you don't need to do that. So I think that answers your question. I think that's what you were getting at. If that's the case, then awesome. If not, yeah, repoint me in the direction of what you need, and I'll try to figure that out. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hope that makes sense. Well, I think it does. We'll find out. Okay, John. So using vSilo to pull content from YouTube does not trigger duplicate content penalty. Not at all, John. I've got 50 or 60 money sites that have vSilo on them. All rank well. No problems at all. All right, Lo, thank you. Yep. And then thanks to Priscilla as well. Okay, cool. Welton J, the Mile High Plumbing site is a money site. It would be what's called a money site. I really have not done anything with it. It had the, something happened to the theme here. It's set up as a silo site. That's why I put this together for our members to have a look at a siloed website. But because these drop, I don't know what happened here, but I'll get it cleaned up for next time. It's really more of a demonstration site, Welton, to show people what a silo website looks like and why it works. Unfortunately, with the way those drop-down menus are running currently in this theme, it does not work properly. So it's not a good demonstration of a silo site right now. But it can be very easily. I just need to spruce that theme back up a little bit and get the menu structure straightened out. Okay, Zenith, when speaking about spun content, what do you mean? I find it hard to believe that people creating articles for just $2 are not doctoring content they have found somewhere. Yeah, it's possible, or Zenith. What I usually mean by spun content is the readability. I mean, you can read stuff that it's obvious no halfway well-spoken individual that speaks English as their main language would write that sentence. When it gets to that point, it's spun content. You know, I agree with you. I think some of the people who write articles are probably using doctored stuff, you know, spun in some fashion or another. But again, I don't even use that stuff. The people I have contracted for creating articles for me write very well, and they just write, you know, they don't splice stuff together or use spinners. And I test, you know, I check articles when they come through and make sure that they are what I want them to be and need them to be. But I agree with you. I think if you were to just buy articles from a lot of these very low quality sources, you would probably get stuff that was spun in some fashion or another. Okay, does Google penalize? It's from Welton. Does Google penalize you for not having terms of use, privacy policy, ownership info, etc.? No, they do not penalize you. It doesn't mean that they, you know, somewhere way down the line, that might be something that gives you an extra point or two. But a lot of my sites don't have that stuff. So, all right, Lorraine. Hi, Noel. Thanks. I'm following Greg's steps, and I've already made my money site. Also have PBNs with content. I just can't see what I am doing. It's like driving only with your sat nav. Okay. Okay. Maybe I'll spend a little time, draw some stuff. Probably not live. I don't use that drawing program well enough. It's kind of a waste of time to do that live, but may be able to help you a little bit better, Lorraine. Shane here responding to one of Tessa's questions. Single PBN, then any theme, as long as it looks good, natural. Can a health PBN site link to my city site that has 12 pages on different 12 businesses? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've got all sorts of things that mix and match. Not too much of a deal. What I definitely would recommend is to make sure that the content in the post from your PBN matches what that link is supposed to be. So even if you have a hodgepodge of a PBN with a bunch of different kinds of articles on it, if you have an article about training your dog, that link should point to a site about dogs or dog training or obedience or something like that. It shouldn't be an article about dog training and then have it point to a roofing site. Doesn't make sense. So you're going to get, you're not going to get near as much influence, positive influence from that link if that were the case. So, all right, John Susko. So you would not actually structure a real siloed site with those deep drop-down menus. Very correct. Yes. I thought those were bad because they leaked link juice off the front page. Yeah, so it's not, they don't really link, it's not link juice that is the problem with those. It's more like thematic leaking, because what happened, I can't show you because the site's not working right. But if you can follow what I'm going to describe here, you'll probably understand it better. If we were here all the way down in like gas line service Lakewood, okay, on this page, there is going to be a link to this page, burst pipes Denver, even though Denver is not thematically relevant to the page that we're currently on. So ideally, with a siloed website, the only links that are going to be visible while I'm on one of these deep inner pages are going to be to pages that are very closely related. So they're only going to be links to Lakewood. There might be one link to the homepage, that's fine, but you wouldn't be able to navigate directly from this page over to like galvanized repipe in Westminster. That link would not be there. There would be no way to get from this page directly over here. You would have to take a step back to this, and then you would have to take a step to this page, and then from this page you would be able to link down to one of these inner pages. That's how you would have to get there. So I know without because this is actually visually representing something that I'm trying to talk around, it doesn't do a great job. But yes, those drop-down menus are typically something that I do not use. I have a few sites that they're in place on still, but they need to be traded out. They're just not a great idea. All right, Coco, so silo sites are specific professions that point to money sites. Sorry, I haven't gotten to those videos yet, but I'm trying to make sure I've understood what you just said. Okay, so not silo, PBN sites. And they are not, they don't necessarily need to be specific. If you were talking about silo, silo is a type, it's essentially a type of menu structure. Where your content is contained, is kind of self-contained in something that we call a silo, and isolated from other content on your site, so that there are no links going directly from, this is just on one site. This is not two separate sites anymore. This is why it's different than a PBN. This is just talking about on-page links. So it is a way to design your URL structure to make use of and take advantage of on-page links. John, could you share with us who writes your articles? Actually, yeah, we've got an OMGer, John, named Pat Sava, who has done a lot of my writing for me, does a great job. And then I also have a lady here that is local in Phoenix that I meet with every once in a while, who does some of my writing as well. So, all right, Welton J, would you add written quality content to a vSilo site to become a real money site, or would those be separated into silo traffic site and separate money site? Yeah, no, absolutely. I could go back, and I probably will at some point in time, go back to this site, and on each of these pages, I can go through here. I could make my own video, first of all, if I wanted to. And I could just write whatever content in here. This is a regular WordPress site, so I can modify this in any way, shape, or form. You know, make it look real good, put my own content on there if I needed to get it to rank or to convert. And then, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, vSilo is a cool plugin. I like it quite a bit. It also allows you to build kind of biggish sites very quickly, which is always nice, I guess. All right, Tess, yes. Yep, answered my question. Cool, cool. All right, Neil, is it okay to link out from a money site to an authority site? Absolutely. And if so, are there any benefits to doing this? Yeah, you're gonna want to link out from your money sites, Neil. It looks unnatural if every link that Google's bot follows that winds up at your money site doesn't go anywhere. Doesn't, you know, it's a dead end kind of. So you want to have outbound links from your money site, absolutely. And of course, you know, linking to an authority site is looked at, you know, favorably. It's a good place to link out to. You know, Wikipedia is always on, you know, pretty high up on that list. If it's anything regarding health or medicine, you know, you've got Mayo Clinic and, you know, all WebMD and things like that. So, and then Coco says, "Oh, sorry, I was referring to a silo." Okay, yeah, hopefully that answered that, Coco, a little bit. Pat R, does anyone know if Weblify leaves a footprint? I'm not sure what Weblify is, Pat. Is it a plugin maybe? I'm not sure. Coco, oh, so silos are interlinks of a money page. Yeah, kind of. They're not really links. Links are links. Silos are a way of structuring your links. Okay, so they're groupings of links for the most part. I don't want to. I'm trying to really be careful with the terms I'm using because some of them have very specific definitions, and I don't want to add to any confusion for you or anyone else. But a silo is more of a. It would be a style of architecture on a site. So, you know, if you've got one homepage, your main page, and then below that, the next level down, you might have like 5 of those first level pages. And then each of those 5 first level pages may have 20 pages below each of them that do not link to one another. Again, if I could use that drawing program easier, it would probably be easier just to draw that for you. Okay, Rob, for PBNs, we have to use fake names at the time of creating the hosting account. Are they also the same name that should be used when the domain is acquired? Yeah, there's a lot of talk about this fake name stuff, Rob. I don't do any of that. I'm not saying that you can't, or even that it might be good, but I don't do that. I don't use fake names on that stuff for my hosting accounts, not for the registrar, not any of that stuff. I'm the owner of that. I would, like I said, there may be some SEO benefit, but if it came down to it, I'm not sure how the law would look at that. You know, if I had some kind of a dispute on that site, and I said, well, that's mine, it would be very difficult, I think, to prove it. And so I think I would probably avoid that personally. But again, I don't know. I don't do that, so I don't know. Priscilla John Susko, also good for articles is iWriter. Okay, cool, great resource there, iWriter.com. 4+ writers looks like a quality. Yeah, so 4+ for good articles. Cool to know. All right, Shane. Was Greg's KLKS SIG site an expired domain? Yes, thus the odd name. It was an old radio station, I believe, Shane. So yeah, he picked it up as an expired domain. Would that then be a very powerful combination of JuiceWise, despite the name not being related to cigarettes? Yes. Doesn't Google know what the pre-expired KLKS site was before it became a SIG site? Yes, it does, but it isn't something that Google cares about that much. And I say that much because Jimmy talks very often about going through something called the Wayback Machine to make sure that you have not had a site that was used for like spam or affiliate stuff, just because it's very hard to kind of recover from a lot of that stuff. It just kind of means that there may have been some nefarious things going on the site. So KLKS is, you know, a radio station. It was all above the board. Google's like, yeah, that's fine. You know, the links are really what you're paying for. You're not really paying for the history of the content. But you do want to kind of look at the history of the content to make sure that you're not getting something that was all junked up. I have a project that is something that I'm going to be letting some of our customers get access to, that's kind of along those lines. I've got a lot of extraordinarily powerful expired domains that rank incredibly well. So it's kind of along that same line. And the only thing I really make sure is that I look through the Wayback Machine and make sure that there was not some kind of really, you know, bad content on the site. Doesn't matter really what the content was, as long as it's not just junky stuff. Okay, Priscilla Pat Arts Weblify. I have it, but I haven't used it yet. Shane, Qzx was, okay, QLKS was expired domain, QLKS, yep. All right, Cliff. Oops, why is this not highlighting? There we go. Okay, when using vSilo on a money site, you have to have a large menu system like you do on your example site. As long as the pages are live, doesn't matter. Would love to keep the experience clean for our users. Yeah, no, that menu is ugly as sin, and I don't know what happened. It's possible there was a problem with a theme update or something like that. That is not a good menu structure. I don't do that on any of my sites, even as a demo site. So yeah, much cleaner experience is definitely preferred, Cliff. And you do not need to have your menu structure can be anything you want it to be. It has no direct connection to using vSilo. So you can set that totally independently. Okay. Oops, I think I skipped one here. Yeah, so Welton, would the outbound linking be on the same page or different pages? For example, if high DA link comes into a page, do you link out to other pages on that same page? Or would you put a link on another page and point to the outside page? Not 100% sure what this question is, Welton. One of the things that I will kind of allude to a little bit here, and I apologize for this, it's just my mind can't keep up with exactly who asked what questions. So would you add written quality content to vSilo? So that was your previous question. A lot of times what will happen is people are having a, their questions follow a logical sequence, but since I've answered several in the middle there, my brain kind of gets off kilter. I can't keep it framed up the right way. For example, if high DA link comes into a page, do you link out to other pages on that same page? Yeah, if this is just outbound authority linking, yeah, you can have outbound authority links from any or all of your pages if you wanted to. I usually put a few. Greg's site setup videos talk about that. So yeah, just a few good quality outbound links. They can be from one page. They can be from a few pages. They can be from almost all your pages. Doesn't really matter that much. All right, Cheryl, thanks, Fletch. We talked about fake names. Didn't sit well with me either. Wondered, how do you prove it's you? Honestly, how can they call that a negative footprint if you are adding value online? Maybe it's a positive footprint to have. Yeah, at the end of the day, we pay attention to what Google has, blatantly said. We are not big on these kinds of things. Really, the way PBNs used to be used, they were kind of a blatant manipulation of something called PageRank. Sorry, my chair popped. And PageRank is not even really something that we pay a ton of attention to anymore. But yeah, I don't foresee myself really using anything with fake names certainly not on things I own. Just doesn't make sense to me. And unless Google tells us that we really have to, or it won't work, I'll resist it. Welton J, do you think using expired domains will ever be penalized by Google because there is so much press on them recently? No, not really. They really can't penalize them. If I were a business that may have a long-standing reputation making beer cans, okay, I'm the aluminum can company or whatever, and all of a sudden I decide, somebody invests in my company and we now are actually making the beer too, and all of my brand is the same company, but now we have a totally different product. We have a totally different public reputation. Google can't really look at that and say, well, now it's totally different, we're going to penalize them. even if legally it changed hands and all these other things, it just doesn't make sense for Google to look that deeply into everything. For the most part, Google spam team is like law enforcement. Law enforcement's job is not to eliminate crime. It's to keep crime at a reasonable level. So that's really what we're just trying to do there. So it's not something I would really worry about too much. I cannot foresee a reason that Google would look at that as something that it could use to clean up spam. That's really all Google's trying to do. It's not, oh, we're out to get you SEOs. It's out to clean up the reputation of, or not the reputation. Yeah, the reputation that they get for displaying content that may not be high value. So that's why it tries to get rid of spam. All right, Lo, do you use Google Analytics on your money sites? If so, how do you avoid a footprint? I have it on a handful of my sites, Lo. They're all set up under separate email addresses. You can have them attached to a single dashboard. I do not do that. I keep them all separate. I don't use Google Analytics on a lot of my stuff, but that being said, I know people who do and have not had any problems with it. It's just something for me. I don't want to stand that close to Google with all of my cards, kind of haphazardly held instead of being close to the chest. Rob, the reason I mentioned fake names, Greg believes one of his PBNs was de-indexed. Whoops, where did that hop to? Was de-indexed because his name was attached to it. No privacy. He recommends it in one of the over-the-shoulder series. Yeah. I mean, certainly, Greg, if he's recommending it, it's fine. I give my perspective. My perspective is not always strictly SEO. Greg handles the SEO stuff. So if he recommends doing that, then you're certainly free to follow that advice. So these stars, Low, I was able to read it, not a problem. Anything that could have been a curse word in any way, shape, or form, it will give you those asterisks for. It's just the nature of the chat box here. Oh yeah, Rob, he was able to pick up on that. You'll see that quite a bit in this chat box. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It always happens. Whoa, where are we going here? All right, Shane, regarding KLKS, SIG's links to an old radio station have nothing in common with the, is that irrelevant to Google? Yes, it's irrelevant. As long as the agent of authority respected by Google, that's all that matters. Currently, yes. All right, Walton says, yes, I nailed it. All right, cool. Sometimes I get lucky. All right, Rob, Welton, review the over-the-shoulder series. Greg does several outbound authority links in that set. Cool. Yeah. Tess, drop down tags from menu tabs. Yeah, is this siloing? No, that site is set up with silo structure in mind. It was set up using a plugin called vSilo, but the theme, I think I may have changed themes or something and didn't verify that it was still working properly. That menu structure has overridden the utility of Silo in that site. So yeah, that again, it's not a demonstration currently of what a siloed site would look like. Okay, share all this talk about footprint seems strange to me. So we are saying someone like Marlon Sanders, who creates all those helpful dashboards, owns them all, and links to each for the convenience of customers is a negative footprint for him. I don't know. First of all, I don't know who Marlon Sanders is. But what that footprint refers to, Cheryl, is if I owned 10 sites, Google knew I owned 10 sites, and then I linked all those 10 sites together in a specific way where one of the sites was receiving links from the 9 other sites, Google would potentially look at that as a personal network and not be pleased with what that could do to its search engine algorithms, because Google needs the algorithm to be based on links, because that's currently all the technology will allow. There's some other things involved, of course, but it needs to use links to, to feed its algorithm. And so because it needs links to feed the algorithm, it looks at anything that is unnatural or manipulated in any way with links that are specifically set up to kind of game the system. So that's why footprint becomes important. Depending on what that dashboard concept you're talking about is, that may or may not fall into that category. I'm not sure. All right, Pete, do you recommend rebuilding the content on age domains to make the content on them more relevant to your money site? So when we buy age domains, expired domains, Pete, we don't get any content. We have to build them up ourselves. And so, yes, if you're going to have to build content anyway, you might as well make those pieces of content relevant to the money sites that you're going to rank, because that will keep the themes very closely related and will give you more ability to rank and power your rankings. So, yeah. All right, Rob, thanks for everything. Fletch, awesome session. First office hours for me. Cool, Rob. I'm glad you were on, man. Definitely glad to have you here. Zenith, thanks, Fletch. Lots of great info. Hey, for sure, guys. Glad to have you on. Shane, hey, Fletch, how would you use PBNs to raise the value of domains belonging to someone? Oops. Belonging to someone who has many stored domains that he wants to sell. I met someone who wants someone to sell 200 to 300 domains in exchange for 50% split. So those domains are probably just kind of domain squatting, or are those all expired domains that have had content on them in the past, Shane? If they're just brand new registered domains, yeah, I don't know. You'd have to maybe rank for premium domains or something like that, maybe, and then try to sell them that way. If they're expired domains, shoot, give me the list. I might buy them. I'm not sure. All right, Priscilla, Cheryl, it's only a negative footprint when you manipulate something, like using your own PBNs to rank a site is unnatural. Yep, cool. All right, Cheryl, so someone being really helpful that links to their helpful sites could be penalized by some mechanical algorithm. Seems stupid and unreal. Yeah, in a situation like that, I think what you're like, if I were out on a bunch of forums and trying to help people with understanding how home energy efficiency works, if I'm out on other people's sites, linking back to my site saying, hey, if you want more information, go there, it's not a problem, because I'm on somebody else's site putting some content there. If I've got a handful of sites, if I've got 3, 4, 5 sites, link them together, not a problem. Usually your problems are going to start existing if you're doing something on a very large scale. So yeah, I don't get too caught up in it. I think as you progress through the training some more, it'll make more sense to you. I think there's probably just a few concepts and scalar kind of concepts that are not super clear for you yet. I understand what you're saying and kind of getting at, but it's actually a good thing, and it makes sense for Google to do that. So, all All right, Shane, have you seen that as a profitable stream of income? If so, what steps and service would you advise to use to ensure safe exchange of profit? I would get a, what do they call it? Like an escrow company, Shane, in a situation like that, to manage the transfer of funds and all that kind of thing. Essentially what they do is they hold ownership and they receive the funds, and then they trade once everything's in order, like you do in a house. Those things exist for businesses too. And I would use like a business escrow company that would be able to mediate that relationship. All right, Pete, thanks, Fletch, as always, over-delivered. Oh, well, thank you very much, Pete. I appreciate that. I try to make sure I answer anything I can. All right, Cheryl, so Priscilla, we were teaching that you need a PBN, but it's a negative to Google. We use fake names because of that. Yeah, well, again, like I said, I don't do any fake names, but I do put privacy on there. Yeah. Another thing that we do the privacy for, guys, is because there will be other SEOs that go out and try to find your network. So a lot of this is for Google. A lot of this is also for individual prying eyes that are snooping around. That will happen as well. So, all right, Shane, not brand new. He's owned them for a while, but I think they may have just been sat parked. I'll find out. Cool, man. Cool. All right. Well, I'm glad you were on today. Thank you very much for all the great questions. Yeah, so we're running over about an hour and a half. So I'll give it a few more minutes, see if there's any last minute questions that I can get to before we wrap up the call for today. But super great session, guys. Really enjoyed the questions. Hopefully we're able to move some people forward. And if nothing else, just to kind of start drawing some more references or kind of framing around what we do with SEO, how we use it, some of those concepts and things like that. So I know for me, when I first got started, I would just kind of sit in on Greg's coaching, his office hours, for a while, because I didn't even know what questions to ask. But just kind of having the live discussion for me was a big help. So hopefully I'm able to provide that for some of our people now too. All right, Priscilla, Cheryl, you don't have to use fake names, but yes, it's hide and seek with Google when you use PBNs. Google dislikes PBNs and has been de-indexing them. Greg, truly grateful to you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I think Greg's still on. Not sure, but yeah, Greg and Gregory, and they're both awesome. So, faux show. Shane Fletchman, I know this sounds like brown nosing, but seriously, thank you so much for not missing any questions. I try, bud. I try. You're very welcome. Thank you. Neil, fantastic session. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for all awesome info tonight. Good deal, guys. Yeah, I'll give it a minute or two here, and then yeah, we typically kind of convene toward the end of the week and make our office hour schedule for the following week. So make sure you watch the news feed in the membership area when those office hours times post. They will be noted there. Also, most often are mentioned on our individual coaching pages as well. But that news feed is always going to have the most up-to-date information on that kind of stuff. So cool. Oh, is it you talking about me? Yeah, thank you very much, Lorraine. No problem at all. All right, guys, we'll go ahead and wrap things up there. Thank you all very much. Okay, guys, go ahead and wrap up now. We'll see you all soon in the Facebook group or on the next office hours. Until then, take care. Talk to you all soon.